Beauty and brute strength. What an interesting combination. Hey guys, MasakoX here. We are back with part 2 of my little mini-series that I like to call Gods in Detail, or GODs in Detail. This is the series where my buddy Havarok and I, that name's beginning to sound familiar, isn't it, talk about all the different gods of destruction and the potential implications they could have on the series going forward. In the first part, we actually talked about Jerez and Rumsshi if you wish to check that out, link in the description and up top. We discussed what kind of Egyptian connections they have, as well as what their mood and names could imply for their actions going forward. Today we're going to be discussing the other gods of destruction, the other gods that have not been talked about before the Tournament of Power arc. More specifically, Rumsshi from Universe 10 and this lovely lady, HELLES from Universe 2. Or is it Jerez? The community hasn't quite decided on that one. Yes, I know, Rumsshi isn't exactly in the best situation right now to talk about. I mean, or any kind of situation if you've been actually keeping up with the show. But he and the sultry goddess of Universe 2 are definitely worth talking about because there's a lot to talk about. First off, let's talk about the desirable and destructive deity that hails from the realm where beauty is the prime currency. That is Universe 2, and of course, the lovely HELLES or Jerez. I don't particularly mind the name, whatever you prefer. HELLES is a curious example for a god of destruction. She is one of just a few where Toriyama had sole responsibility in designing her. And yes, I could easily talk about all the Egyptian connections she has. I mean, she's just screaming ancient Egypt, even more so than Beerus. But I would like to refer to a more recent interpretation of her design. It does have something to do with ancient Egypt, but more of the filmic nature. So let's start off with the well-dressed elephant in the room, no offense Rumsshi, about the fact that she looks like she's just walked off a film set. More specifically, she resembles almost perfectly the on-screen representation of Cleopatra, played by Elizabeth Taylor in the film of the same name from 1963. I mean, come on, just look at her. That's Elizabeth Taylor dressed as Cleopatra, and that is HELLES. They're pretty much the same. Now, if you remember from Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, it has come up time and time again that Akira Toriyama is a very, very huge cinephile. There are countless references to different types of sci-fi films, like The Terminator, Star Wars, you name it, it's in there. My favourite reference being the fact that Trunks is just straight up John Connor from Terminator. So who's to say that he's not done that again with the Gods of Destruction, and in this case HELLES, actually harking back to 1960s epic features. So yeah, this is a bit of an Egyptian theme already, but, you know, at least it's got something to do with motion pictures. So without further ado, let's just delve right back into that era of human history. Like with Beerus, there are multiple sources to choose from, so let's start off with the most obvious. I believe that the simplest explanation for Helles's design and representation could be from the Egyptian goddess Hathor. She was a goddess of many things and most beloved by her people. And actually, what it's been seen, HELLES is a pretty popular god in Universe 2. So just to name a few examples of what she was the goddess for, she was the goddess of love, motherhood, the sky, joy, any kind of positive feelings Hathor was pretty much the patron saint of. So yeah, she was a pretty busy lady. She was non-stop when it came to managing her people. Not only was she one of the most popular goddesses of ancient Egypt, she was also one of the most important, respected and heralded by all social classes in Egypt, not just the poor, but the rich too. Now the funny thing is, I bet you're actually typing Hathor into Google and you're coming up with pictures of cows, and you might be confused. Masako, why is Hathor a cow? Because initially she was represented as a cow, but as her popularity grew, she was slowly shifted to have the appearance of a woman. Much like how many other goddesses and gods in ancient Egypt started off as animals, but then also grew human representation as well. Sometimes a mixture of the two. Now for the really interesting stuff. You remember how Sekhmet was very closely associated with the likes of Beerus and Champa? Well, Sekhmet appears once again in this one. Turns out that Sekhmet and Hathor are two sides of the same coin. Hathor is her gentle, nurturing and life-giving aspect, while Sekhmet is her fierce and destructive side. As the goddess of the sun, Hathor Sekhmet symbolizes both aspects of our beautiful star. While Hathor, the celestial cow, represents the gentle spring, the sun, note how Taurus the bull is the fixed sign of spring, her alter ego Sekhmet, the fiery lioness, represents the hot, burning summer sun. Again, note how Leo, the lion, is the fixed sign of summer. So in a way, you could say that Beerus and HELLES are also connected in some way. So maybe off-screen, HELLES is one of the few people that can actually soothe Beerus down a little bit. Maybe they get on. We don't know this fact, and this could be totally wrong, but it's good to speculate every now and again. Now, there is another element to HELLES' design which must be noted because it is one of the most significant. Note her headpiece. If you remember this headpiece from your time in school studying about ancient Egypt, then it might be familiar. There was a queen in ancient Egyptian times that shared the same apparel. I am talking about Nefertiti. Now, yeah, Elizabeth Taylor's Cleopatra was a beaut, but when it came to Nefertiti, she was the trendsetter. Nefertiti is known for her elegant beauty. She has been an icon for many women and for many modern cosmetic lines. Many societies around the world have adopted the queen as a symbol of true beauty. Some historians have even proclaimed her the most beautiful woman in the world. Whatever people have said about her, one thing holds true. She remains renowned for her beauty after her death and during her life as a queen. Now, this would explain the logic behind Universe 2's beauty-driven culture. You seem to actually have that as the currency. Now, a combination of Nefertiti and Cleopatra would make all of that pretty understandable. Now, don't think it's all about beauty and no brawn though. HELLES is a strong queen and a strong goddess of destruction. In terms of the mortal level chart, Universe 2 is ranked 6th, just behind Universe 11, just 2 spots off the safety zone. Universe 2 is a solid midfield competitor, so there's gotta be something going on there, which is good. Now, another thing which is quite curious, and that is something to do with her Supreme Kai, Peru. He seems to be very fixated when it comes to brute strength, and that is very unusual given how HELLES is a lot more delicate. You might be a bit confused about that now, but I actually have an idea. When you take into account the long-famed lover of Cleopatra, Mark Antony, things begin to make a little more sense. Marcus Antonius, to give his actual name, was very close to Cleopatra. He was a famed Roman general and politician. They became very close and actually had 3 children. They stood by each other's side right until the very end. Peru is basically HELLES' Mark Antony. Let's just hope things go a little better for them than their actual real-life counterparts. Now, when it comes to her actual name, that one is a lot easier. At first, people thought that it was one of 2 things, the German light beer known as HELLES, or a Spanish sherry known as Jerez. Now, judging from what we've been talking about up until now, delicate, beauty, all of that stuff, it would make more sense that we're actually talking about the Spanish sherry rather than a German light beer. Besides, the Jerez part is a lot more interesting anyway. That Spanish sherry has links to ancient Egyptian times. It was known by the Phoenicians back in 1100 BC. It's pretty fitting given how ancient it is and how related to the gods it is with HELLES now. Now let's cast our gaze onto the second god of destruction that we're going to be talking about today. Universe 10's god of destruction, Rumsshi. Yeah, okay, it has to be noted that Rumshi's appearance has caused much controversy across the internet when it comes to his appearance, especially in certain Hinduistic circles. Now keep in mind, Hinduism is not exactly one unified religion, but a combination of many different sects. And some of those sects don't necessarily have an opinion when it comes to the representation of their gods in popular media. They just kind of let things go by. There have been many rumblings about the fact that Rumsshi is very similar to the likes of Ganesh. Now, when you first look at Rumsshi, you would definitely think, oh yeah, he does kind of look a bit like Ganesh, because Ganesh is one of the most recognizable gods in popular media because, elephant god. But it's not as simple as that. So let me explain. You see, amongst many things, Ganesh is a very constructive god, considered to be the lord of letters and learning. The lord of obstacles, more specifically the removal of them and actually rising above arduous tasks. Ganesh's mission in life is to unlock the potential in anyone that worships him. Being able to just make people realize what they can do with their life. Being the ultimate motivator. He's meant to be a constructive god, not a destructive one. So I can understand why some people might be concerned with Rumshi's appearance. Ganesha is also a god which is very closely associated to the actual primal sound Om. You know, that one that just goes Om. It's a peaceful tone. It's a very calming tone, very much like Ganesh. And again, it reiterates the fact that he's meant to be a constructive god, beneficial, actually building things rather than blowing stuff up. Well, okay, Masako, what is he based on then? Well, we have to turn to DB Wiki for that. Their description for Rumsshi is this. A relatively lazy god that likes to be praised, he doesn't like to destroy planets because he finds it too much of a pain. He also believes that strength is the key to winning the Tournament of Power, as he told Goasu to think with his body instead of his brain, and also recruited members who rely too much on brute strength. And look how that worked out for him. Again, that is the complete opposite of Ganesh. Now that I think about it, Rumsshi does look very familiar. I have to hark back to my childhood here. Of course. Now you remember Dumbo, the Disney film? There is a certain film when a couple of the characters imbibe a certain type of drink which makes people a little woozy, an alcoholic drink. You know, the scene that probably scarred you for years? It all revolved around alcohol. Alcohol, pink elephants, the fact that Universe 10's god is basically derived from the name rum. It's not exactly as nuanced as other gods of destruction, but you can't ignore it. The precursors to rum originated in the Indochina area, but the rum that we all know, and you know, yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, Captain Jack Sparrow and all that, actually started coming about in the 17th century. And instead of the Indochina area, it was in the Caribbean. And also when it comes to the word rum, it actually could be considered to be derived from a word for strong or potent in the actual local dialects. Something that makes a lot of sense when you consider that Rumshi's principles in life is just to deal with it with brute strength. So it just stands to reason to actually associate him with a very, very strong drink. I seriously suspect that when we get to the dubbed section of the Tournament of Power that has Rumsshi in it, that we might see his name changed to being something a little less savoury. But then again, Beerus and Shampa's names haven't been changed, so there's hope that the names will remain the same, and those name puns will remain because they are very good ones. So there you go, Haverock and I have presented to you what we consider to be the representations of HELLES and Rumsshi. I hope you enjoyed it. The Gods of Destruction are a very diverse bunch, and I hope to cover the rest of them in the fullness of time. Thanks once again to my buddy Haverock for help with his research when it comes to these videos. I could not do it without him, so cheers mate. So what do you guys think? Did you like this video? Do you think there are references to these gods that I might have missed? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!